When my sister called my mother crying, it was already too late. She'd just driven past my house, the one I built myself, worth over $2 million now, and the words she said still echo in my mother's voice. Why does she have that? They always thought I'd be the failure, the quiet one, the one who never fit. But the funny thing about being underestimated is, it gives you all the time you need to prepare. 3 years ago, at my sister's wedding, I stood in a gold dress I couldn't afford, smiling for photos I didn't belong in. My parents handed her a check for $100,000 in front of everyone. Laughter, applause, champagne, a public coronation of their golden child. Then my mother turned to me. Same tone, same brittle smile. "You don't deserve any help, Emily. You've always been difficult." The word hit harder than the laughter that followed. Difficult, like it was a disease I'd chosen. I smiled back, but inside something cracked and then sharpened. I didn't argue, I didn't beg, I simply said, "You won't hear from me again." And I meant it. The first year was hell. I lived in a one-room apartment that smelled like mold and desperation. I took 3 jobs: designing, cleaning, delivering, whatever kept the lights on. Every night I replayed their words, "You don't deserve help." And every morning I made sure they were wrong. I studied contracts during lunch breaks, watched real estate auctions at night, and learned everything they never bothered to teach me about money, credit, and leverage. By the time my sister's honeymoon ended, I'd saved my first $10,000. It wasn't much, but it was mine. By the second year, I was flipping properties. Cheap, broken, forgotten homes. Kinda like me. I poured my soul into them, learned plumbing, drywall, negotiations. While my sister posted pictures of designer handbags and spa weekends, I was covered in dust and concrete. But I didn't envy her anymore. She had my parents' approval. I had something better: momentum. When the third year came, everything shifted. The first house sold for 6 figures. Then the second. And by summer, I'd closed on my biggest one, a lakefront property with wide glass windows and stone pillars that caught the sunset like fire. It wasn't just a house, it was proof. I moved in quietly. No announcement, no calls. I didn't need validation anymore. But fate has a sense of humor. That day, I was in the garden when I saw her car, white Lexus, same one my parents helped her buy. She slowed at the gate, eyes wide, face pale. I could see her lips move. She whispered something like disbelief. Then her phone lifted. A call. Later, my mother's voice trembled through the line. "Your sister's crying. She just saw your house. She said, 'Why does she have that?'" The silence that followed felt like justice. I waited a beat before I answered, because I earned it. But revenge, true revenge, isn't about money. It's about control. Months later, my sister's marriage imploded. Her husband left. The debts came out. The cars were repossessed. Suddenly, the princess needed saving. And who do you think my mother called? "She just needs a place to stay for a while," she said, voice shaking. "You have space." I almost laughed. "Yes," I said, "I do. But she'll need to pay rent." "Rent?" she snapped. "She's your sister." Exactly. 2 days later, my sister stood at my door, mascara streaked, holding one suitcase. She looked at the house like it was swallowing her whole. "Emily," she whispered, "I didn't know where else to go." I stepped aside. She walked in, slow, hesitant, scanning the marble floors, the art, the glass staircase. Every inch screamed what she'd once mocked me for chasing: ambition. I offered her tea. She declined. Old habits. Still entitled. "I can stay in the guest room?" she asked. I smiled faintly. "No, you can't. The property's already rented out." Her eyes flickered. Then, "Why did you say—" I said I had space. Not for you. I walked her back to the door. She didn't move, just stared. For the first time, she looked small. Not because she'd lost everything, but because she realized I didn't need to win her approval anymore. She stepped outside. I closed the door behind her. Slowly, quietly, completely. That sound, that final click, was my revenge. People think revenge is fire, loud, explosive. It isn't. It's ice, controlled, precise, silent. It's watching the same people who dismissed you finally face the weight of their own arrogance. It's standing in the house they said you'd never have, built with the determination they tried to crush. The last time my mother called, she said, "You've changed, Emily." I told her the truth. No, I just learned to build a life without asking for permission. Now, when I walk through my home at night, barefoot against the marble floors, I don't feel pride. I feel peace.